Hello everyone, welcome to Book Club Preview. Today we're looking at the last equation, chapter 6 and 7. Now in this chapter, we actually start getting some juicy information. It starts off with Agent Dante just asking Charlie, hey, what do you know about Einstein? She's like, oh, well, I know, I've read a couple of biographies of him. I know a lot. And then, Dante's like, do you know anything about Pandora? Now, what Charlie was really thinking was, I know everything about Einstein. But she didn't let that on. And so when she hears about Pandora, she's like, no, there's nothing about Pandora. What are you talking about? And so Agent Dante starts asking more questions and getting Charlie to kind of open up and to share more of her thoughts. Finally it gets to the point where he asks, what is E, or do you know about special relativity, which is E equals mc squared, which is the most famous equation, I think, in the world. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Well, that is pretty basic. So Agent Dante asks Charlie, come on, tell me more. What's it talking about? And then she says, well, what it really means is that inside an atom is an incredible amount of energy, which is how we get things like nuclear power. But that energy could be used for good or it could be used for bad. It could be used to power a city or it could be used to make a bomb. And Dante says, well, you're right. What Pandora is an equation that Einstein found or made that was actually less complicated than the equation that he made to help us unlock the power of the atom. This equation he called Pandora, after the story of the Greek mythology of Pandora's box. Pandora was, I think, the first woman. She had a box. She was told not to open it, but she opened it and it let out all this bad stuff. But there was also hope inside the box. So we have this really kind of parallel in the story of this equation that Einstein made. It can be terrible or it can be wonderful. Now, at first, Charlie doesn't believe it. No, I never read anything like this. It can't be true. If agents have been looking at it for 70 years and no one's found it, it's just fake. But Agent Dante says, no, we believe it's true. And we have a hint. And so then he lets Charlie know some information, and Charlie guesses. She's like, wait, if you know this much, does that mean that someone else knows more? And this is why you're so urgent and why you're asking me to help? Because we're this close to the end of the world. And Dante's kind of like, yeah. That leads us to chapter 7, where we get introduced to this character, Alexei Kolyenko. Kolyenko? I'm not too sure. But he appears to be a German guy, and Alexei really hates people from the Middle East. He was looking for a lot of jobs in Germany, but he couldn't get a job. He couldn't get a good job. He blames the people from the Middle East coming in and taking his job, the refugees, and so he really hates the people from the Middle East. And so at the beginning of the chapter, Alexei's imagining this boom, atomic explosion wiping out millions of people in these major cities in the Middle East. But that's just his imagination. And so how did Alexei get this information, and who is he? Well, it appears that Alexei was just a normal guy, and he was in a bar drinking, and his friends were drinking, and none of them could find work, so they just spent all day in the bar, and they just complained about all of the immigrants taking their jobs, until one day an old man came, an old man who was drinking too. And Alexei was just going and sharing his, oh, the immigrants are taking our jobs. I hate those guys. And then the old man said, well, are you just going to talk? Or are you going to do something about it? Alexi's, well, I'm going to do something about it. Oh, okay. And the old man starts to share the story of how he used to be a KGB agent. That's like a Russian spy. And they caught an American spy and learned about Pandora. But the KGB could never figure out the location of Pandora. But after the KGB disappeared and the old man was on his own, he thinks that he found where it is, in Switzerland, in Bern. And so this man gets Alexei and his friends to go after Pandora. So this is one of two twists of fate that happened to Alexei. He feels like God chose me. God chose me to find Pandora and to blow up all of these terrible immigrants that are coming from the Middle East. And he uses a lot of really bad words to describe these people. The first twist of fate, a twist of fate is like when something goes bad, but then something good happens. Or something is going good, and then something bad happens. So in his life, he couldn't get a job, and his life was going down, but a twist of fate, he met the old man that led him towards the trail of Pandora. When he was in Switzerland, he didn't find what the old man thought was there, but there was another twist of fate. They failed, but they had a twist of fate leading them to the real location. And so he's going there. And they're taking a ferry to some city, and they traveled from Bern, Switzerland, over the Alps into Italy, and now they're taking a ferry somewhere. And so he knows that the CIA agents and Interpol are after him, but he feels confident that he can escape them. So, for some vocabulary. First one is riveted. Riveted means to kind of bolt something with metal. If you think of like some armor has like poof, 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 these clasps that hold it together that won't break or won't open. You can cut them or break them, but they don't open themselves. This is kind of a rivet. Apprehending means catching, grabbing. Alexei feels confident that Interpol and the CIA won't apprehend him. Arduous is difficult. The path up the Alps was arduous. Abominable is terrible, disgusting, awful. Cesspits is, imagine like a pool that's really dirty with dead things in it. Just imagine the dirtiest water you can imagine. That's a cesspit. And he considers the Middle East a cesspit, creating these Middle Eastern people. Repugnant is, again, disgusting, like you, when Agent Dante is eating this tuna and roast beef and pickle sandwich, Charlie's, she feels repugnant, she feels disgusted. And so Alexei describes the people as repugnant. Shunned. Shunned means people ignore you and avoid you. That's a bad person. Don't look at me. And they don't want to be with you. They make you alone. The last one here, scrutiny, is to check with detail to find some problem. So when Dante is going through the customs checkpoint, the officer looks, okay, white guy going to the Middle East, okay, here's your stuff, no problem. Maybe if he looked more suspicious, the agent would scrutinize him a little more. Okay, let's jump in a discussion question here. If you were Alexei, or yourself, whatever, would you trust The Old Man's Story. Now, maybe it's a little hard for us to imagine sitting in a bar drinking all day, but maybe you were at a cafe. I don't know. But imagine you were in a really difficult situation, and then some old man kind of told you this story of maybe how you could get out of it. Would you trust the old man, or would you think he's crazy? Most of the people in the bar shunned the old man and thought he was crazy. And of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today, but thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.